What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of How To Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about how to choose your diet. I want you guys to know that this is probably my 10th take at this thing. I took the whole setup down, I went in, started editing, and I was like, you know what? I do not like the way this is set up, so what I'm going to do for you instead is I'm going to take a different route. I'm going to break this video up into little snippets, so this way, originally I wasn't going to talk about each diet individually. I'm going to talk about the main diets, give you little snippets of what they are, but the main topic is going to be how to choose the diet that's right for you, how to choose your diet, how to find the sustainable diet. So we're going to get into that as well, but for now, let's cue the music, crack the monster, throw the shades on, and get into the first part of this. Hold on, wait for it. Alright guys, the first thing I want to talk about is counting your calories, being aware of your calorie intake. I want to talk about how everybody has their own maintenance level of calories. So maintenance level of calories is how many calories you could eat on a daily basis to maintain your weight. That's based on your activity level, your height, your weight. You as a person, you want to try to find a maintenance level for calories in order to either cut weight or gain weight. Whether you're calorie counting or not, that's going to be important, because if you're doing a diet like keto or paleo or any one of these diets, they could be used to both gain weight and lose weight. So you have to keep that in mind. Just because you're using a tool, like I use intermittent fasting, I can intermittent fast, but if I'm going over my calories and my goal is to lose weight, it's not going to just adhere to my goal and make that happen for me. It's not magic. These diets aren't magic. They don't know your goal and just go to it. So you need to be aware of how many calories you're eating. You have to know what macronutrients are. You have to adhere to what you want, and you have to adjust your diet and be aware of these things based on your goals. So if your goal is to gain weight, you're going to want to go over. If your goal is to lose weight, you want to go under. Simple enough, right? So how do you do that? Let's talk about real quick macronutrients and how many calories are in a pound, so you guys could then use this into the next snippets of the diets that we're going to talk about later. I'll tell you each about the tools that I like to use, these diets that we use in the academy. We have 8 different paths, and the reason is because you need to be looking for the diet that's most sustainable for you. So, let's say 1 pound, let's start here, is equal to 3,500 calories. I'm not saying let's just say that, it is this. Okay, so if you are eating, if your maintenance level, let's just say, you used a calculator and found out your maintenance level is 2,500 calories, so 2,500 to maintain. If you eat 2,000 calories per day, you are under 500 calories, and then times 7 days in a week, you'd be under 3,500 calories. The same is true if you went up to 3,000 calories per day, equals plus 500 times 7, and you'd be over 3,500 calories, and that 3,500 calories is 1 pound. So therefore, if you went up to down to 2,000 or up to 3,000, you would either lose a pound or gain a pound, assuming your maintenance level is on point, assuming you tracked it perfectly. Not saying it's a perfect solution. Your calories can't be tracked perfectly every single time. So I have an article on how to be aware of that. I'll link that below. But you need to be aware of this as well, and you also need to be aware of your proteins, carbs, and fats. So these are your macronutrients. Per 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. Per 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories. And per 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. It's another thing to be aware of. What I like to do, I'm currently not doing keto anymore. I have done cyclical ketosis and intermittent fasting all combined, and I lost 50 pounds doing that. Now I am calorie counting, just using intermittent fasting, and my macros are about 2,000 calories a day. I believe I'm hitting anywhere from 160 to 185 grams of protein. For me here, my carbs I think are around 200 grams a day, which leaves my fat around 50 to 60 grams. Probably should have had a calculator in front of me to show you exactly what it is, but you guys aren't exactly my height and weight and activity level, so you should probably disregard this and just know that I'm telling you that I have around 0.75 to 1 gram of protein per body weight. My carbs are, I think, 35% of my calories, and then the fat falls into place around there. So it's important to know this because you're going to use it for every single other tool we have next. I'm not saying you have to meticulously track your calories, but you do need to be aware of them regardless of what we talk about. So let's stop here and let's break into the first topic, intermittent fasting. All right, let's talk about intermittent fasting for a second. And by a second, I mean a few minutes, and I'm probably going to go even past that. And the reason I want to talk about intermittent fasting first is because this is something I've used not only while I was calorie counting, but it's something I used while I was using cyclical ketosis and other diets. I like to use this as a tool for basically every single diet I do. There's different ways to intermittent fast, so let's talk about that. There's short-term fasting, which is what I use. It's around 16 to 18 hour fasts per day. There's longer fasts, which are like 20 plus hours. You have one big meal. And then there's full day fasts. We like to utilize the 16 to 18 hour range. We've seen guys like Hugh Jackman, Terry Crews both utilize fasts like this. And this is stuff, I'm not going to go into how you do it exactly. I'm not going to talk about what you can and can't eat on each one of these diets because basically we're going to be here for half an hour if I do that. But basically intermittent fasting is a tool that helps you control your appetite, your blood sugar, your cardiovascular function, and gives you a lot of increased like fat burning and growth hormone release. And these are little things that you're using this as a tool. If you want to gain weight or lose weight, you're going to still have to control your calories. So what I do is I use this as an appetite suppressor. I have one big meal at about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's about 1,000 calories. Then by 8 o'clock I've had my other 1,100 calories, and I fill in my calories and my macronutrients from there on. So that is one tool I like to use. Like I said, I've paired this with both cyclical ketosis, and I've done intermittent keto fasting for a time, and then I've also paired this with straight calorie counting. This is my favorite tool to use, and I suggest to anybody to try on a 14-hour, then 15-hour, then 16-hour, then 17-hour. Get used to it. Give it a shot. I love it. Let's go into the next one, which we're going to be talking about the Atkins diet. Alright, I said the Atkins diet, but if you did look at the screen, you saw the keto diet. Technically, I'm talking about the Atkins diet, the keto diet, or cyclical ketosis, or low carb diet. Basically, we're talking about eating low carbs and kicking yourself into keto, a higher fat burning state. Basically, what it is you're going to keep yourself under, depending on the person, you can work your way up, maybe stay under 40 grams of carbs per day and still be in keto. You're going to start around 10, 20, 30 grams of carbs per day. You're going to kick yourself into this ketosis state where your body is producing ketones, heightened fat burning state. And like I said before, you still need to be aware of your calorie counts, because if you're eating too many calories, you might be in that fat burning state, but you're not going to be burning fat because you're going to be gaining mass if you eat too much and you're training. So we haven't seen many celebs do keto. We have seen Zac Efron use ketosis and stay really low carb when he was on set for Baywatch. So that's one celeb we've seen do it. I've done it. I've lost 50 pounds. Let me see if I can put one of my transformations up on the screen. So this is another tool you can be using. A lot of people find it sustainable. A lot of people love it. So I wanted to snip this in there. And next thing we're going to be talking about is the Paleo diet. Let's get right into that. Right, the Paleo diet. We're going to talk about that real quick because this is something I've always been a fan of. This is something CrossFitters use fairly often. We've seen guys like Brandon Ruth do this. We've seen guys like Frank Grillo use this. So a lot of people like the Paleo diet. Paleo, for Paleolithic era, you're going to be basically eating like a caveman. I basically said I'm not going to be talking about what you can and can't eat, but I'll just go through really quickly that it's going to be a moderately high-fat diet, moderate protein, and low carb. Just inherently, you're going to be cutting out dairy and you're basically going to be skipping the baked goods section and eating your carbs based on fruits and vegetables. They even say moderate fruits because it's high in sugar. So a lot of it's going to be healthy fats, lean meats, seafood, nuts, seeds, And yeah, you're gonna be broken down into basically, if you were a caveman, what could you find? What would you be able to eat? That's the paleo diet. This is another tool, and I think I'm gonna cut it there because I know the video is getting way too long. There is the vegan diet. We've seen tons of people use as well on the site. We've even seen Adam Levine say he's kind of vegan. So there are these tools. The main point I want to talk about though with these diets, the main thing, how to choose your diet, is to try them. Try them out. Find what's sustainable for you, because if it's not sustainable, it's no good. Scrap it. You don't want to go on these diets. We've seen actors do it where they lose a ton of weight and then they gain it back the next movie because it wasn't sustainable. But we've also seen a ton of celebrities who, like Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, these other celebrities that are incorporating cheat meals and making their diet sustainable. Mark Wahlberg, these guys have been able to sustain the physique they've had because they find a sustainable diet, they're motivated, and they stick to it. That's what you have to do in order to make your diet work. If the Atkins diet worked for me, or the keto diet worked for me, or the paleo diet worked for me, or if I went vegan it worked for me, it's not necessarily going to work for you unless that's what's sustainable for you. Right now what's working for me is calorie counting and intermittent fasting, but if intermittent fasting doesn't work for you, then that's fine too. You try and you move on to the next diet. You try it, you find what's sustainable. The way to find the diet that works for you is to try it out, give it 2-3 weeks, maybe even a month, get through it, stay motivated, see if you can sustain it, and then utilize that. You could always go into a diet and start gaining weight because let's say you're doing keto and you're eating too many calories, then you reevaluate, but you like the keto, so you drop the calories a little bit. Then it could start working. Then you re-see if you can sustain it. Give and take a little bit in your diet, play with your calories, play with the diet restrictions, see which restrictions are the best for you. Have fun doing it, sustain it, and that's the way you find your diet. I hope this video didn't get cut too short. I know it's a little long for my taste already, so I wanted to cut it before going into each snippet like I said. But I'll see you guys for the next one. Leave some comments, like the video if you enjoyed it. Leave some comments on how I can improve these How To Tuesdays. We're only moving into our third next week, so I'll see you soon.